I am so excited to welcome all of you to this historic event today. What a great day in the history of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Would you not all agree? Yes. So there are so many exciting things that are happening here with us at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Not only have we expanded the Western Currency facility to allow for space for more new and advanced printing and processing equipment, but we're also working on a brand new design family of notes that will increase the security and reflect the diversity of our nation. We are also designing a new Washington, D.C. facility to further expand our printing capabilities. And with all of these groundbreaking projects, BEP continues to successfully deliver the nation's currency order, and that is thanks to all of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing employees at both the Washington, D.C. location and the Fort Worth location here. So you guys should give yourselves a huge hand. Thank you so much. So I am especially honored today to introduce the 26th Director of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, Mr. Lynn Oliar. I'm grateful and humbled for his leadership, support, and dedication to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing for more than 25 years. Lynn's priority as a director has always been to build a better, more diverse, and a resilient BEP so others could experience the type of career that he has had the opportunity to have. He has prioritized and invested in our facilities, equipment, currency redesign, but most importantly, our employees. Lynn has been a faithful mentor, an inspiring leader, and a visionary director. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the Director of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, Mr. Lynn Oliar.
Thank you, Charlene, for that kind introduction. I also want to thank you, your staff, and Treasury staff for all the work done to prepare for this event. And a special thank you to the Western Currency Facility employees for doing a fantastic job printing a historic Federal Reserve note. This note, the first to bear the signature of two female leaders, sends a message around the world that our sisters, wives, and daughters are achieving the equality so many have fought for and continue to strive for. This morning, I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our 45th Treasurer of the United States, Chief Malerba. Chief Mutawi Mudahash, many hearts in Mohegan, became the 18th Chief of the Mohegan Tribe in 2010. This position is a lifetime appointment made by the tribe's Council of Elders. Prior to becoming chief, she served as chairwoman of the Tribal Council and in tribal government as executive director of Health and Human Services. Preceding her work for the Mohegan Tribe, Chief Malerba served as a registered nurse and ultimately became director of cardiology and pulmonary services at Lawrence and Memorial Hospital in Connecticut. She earned a Doctor of Nursing practice at Yale University, where she was named a Jonas Scholar. She also earned a master's degree in public administration from the University of Connecticut and a BS in nursing from the College of St. Joseph. Chief Malerba has been awarded honorary doctorate degrees from Eastern Connecticut State University and the University of St. Joseph. She lives in Niantic, Connecticut with her husband, Paul. They are the parents of two adult daughters, Elizabeth and Angela, and are proud grandparents of Taylor, Connor, and Charlotte. Chief Malerba, thank you for joining us today at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing's Western Currency facility. My turn.
stand on it. Cha Ianawak, na tiwi sung squamatime watahash. I said, hello everyone, my name is Chief Many Hearts Lynn Malerba, and I am honored to serve as the Treasurer of this United States. As Treasurer, it is a privilege to work closely with the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. This Bureau is respected for its excellent work among its peers, internationally and within our own communities, and in addition to the financial community in this United States. It is obvious to me and anyone who engages with the Bureau of Printing and Engraving that it is integral to the Treasury operations. I was fortunate enough to learn about, as the Treasurer, that the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, when Director Lynn Oliar worked with me and reached out to say, hey, come visit, come see our production. And I have to say that, he was brave enough to even try a Mohegan word on me. The first word I heard from Len was akwai, which means greetings. And he even said my name correctly. So I'm very proud of you, Len, for, being brave enough to give that a try. I am thrilled to be here at this facility, and I'm thrilled to be able to meet all of you. I would like to say, thank you to the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, each position and each person. Your dedication to your work ensures that the people have faith in the United States currency throughout the world. There are over 82 unique job types with over 635 different job positions. And I want to be clear, each of those positions are equally important in creating the superior product that you are responsible for and that we are privileged to use on a daily basis. The volume of currency that the Bureau of Printing and Engraving creates on an annual basis is nothing short of astounding. That cannot happen without exceptional teamwork. That cannot happen without everyone using their expertise to create the final product. I am in awe of the complexity of the work that you do and how it contributes to the final product. When I was a child, my dad worked as a printer in a local company, making cardboard boxes for various businesses. It was a source of pride for him, and I hope that the work that you do is a source of pride for all of you. Your work is literally used around the world. No one else can make that claim. Today is a very exciting day. This moment is history, with the currency signed not only by the first female Secretary of Treasury, but also the first Native Treasurer, male or female. Truly, 2 women on the currency for the first time is momentous. You are all making history today with all of us. I had a moment when Len showed me the book with my signature on it. I had met the engravers who developed it and all the people who were engaged in the printing process by then. It was especially poignant for me. I grew up in a very loving family with 6 siblings raised by amazing parents. But you can imagine with a family of 7 children, my parents struggled a bit financially. And so now their name will be on the currency because it is my middle name. This makes me very emotional and very proud. You have all helped me memorialize these wonderful people, and I thank you for that. I know my story is not unique. Many families struggle to reach a level of economic security. Treasury works to help all American families achieve economic stability and, better yet, thrive through the various economic initiatives and programs that Treasury oversees. We all contribute to the success of Treasury in reaching these goals in our respective roles. In our tradition, we use wampum as tribute to honor someone, and I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to thank Len Oliar for his 35 years of service to this agency in our country. So today I say, Katapton Tamawish, Kwamatawi Wayanamunch, Waskichi Kiawan. Thank you and many blessings upon you, and I give you a small token of our appreciation, which is a piece of wampum. It is now my distinct honor to introduce someone who truly needs no introduction. Secretary Janet Yellen, the first female and the 78th Secretary of Treasury. She served as a professor at Harvard and then the University of California at Berkeley, focused on a range of issues pertaining to labor and macroeconomics. She has had a very distinguished career in our United States, receiving appointments by 3 presidents. President Clinton appointed her to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, and later as the chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors. As the president of the Federal Reserve in 2008, she helped manage the recession. In 2010, she was appointed by President Barack Obama to serve as the Federal Reserve Chair. And now appointed by President Biden, she serves as the Secretary of Treasury. No woman has held all 3 positions, and that is something that is truly remarkable and something that I think is just unique to Secretary Yellen. In his remarks, President Biden noted, she has spent her career focused on unemployment and the dignity of work. She understands what it means to people in their communities when they have good, decent jobs. The Secretary has many other accomplishments which have made a difference in the lives of all of Americans. I am privileged to work for and with Secretary Yellen. While she may be the first female Secretary of Treasury, she'll make sure that she won't be the last. And she's going to reflect a bit on the work of Bureau Engraving and Printing, as well as the other achievements that the Treasury has had over the past year. These achievements are all of yours to celebrate, but the one thing that I'd like to note is that each and every day, what I'm impressed with about Secretary Yellen is that she brings humility and humanity to the work that she does. And I think that that is very special. She approaches each person, each job, each role that she has, each department that she has in a way that truly shows leadership, and it shows what a difference a good leader can make. And so it is my honor and my pleasure, Secretary Yellen. I guess I'll get down. Thank you.
Lynn, thank you for that wonderful and very generous introduction, and for the extraordinary job that you're doing as our treasurer. And everyone, good morning. I'm delighted to be in Fort Worth and at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. I want to begin by thanking my BEP colleagues here today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all of your hard work. The currency that you produce here touches just about everyone in the United States and millions more across the world. Our currency is essential to the functioning of the financial system, and its integrity is core to our national security. BEP employees have always gone above and beyond, but you have done so at a whole new scale under heightened pressure over the past few years. When much of the nation was sheltering at home, most of you reported to work in person to run essential operations during the pandemic. You've worked overtime and on weekends to meet the historic demand for U.S. currency. And you did so successfully, on schedule and under budget. But that's not all. As if these immediate needs weren't enough of a challenge, many of you have dedicated time and energy to position BEP for the coming decades. You've made significant progress on our very ambitious plans to expand the Fort Worth facility and to build a new facility in Maryland. And most importantly, many of you are spending time to mentor and to train the next generation of highly skilled union workers. Indeed, BEP benefits from over 1,200 dedicated union members. I want to thank you for all you're doing. Each of you is taking on so much, and I know you take tremendous pride in your work. And I hope you know how appreciative I am of your work as well. And I want to especially thank Director Lynn Oliar. Director Oliar is set to retire from federal service next month after nearly 35 years at BEP. Director, your dedication to BEP, to Treasury, and to our country epitomizes the spirit of public service, and we are so grateful for your commitment to this organization, from when you were coming up the ranks of the Bureau to your many years at the helm. It's no surprise why Director Oliar and many of you have spent your careers dedicated to the work of this organization. Currency plays a critical role in our economy. Economists know that money serves a number of traditional purposes: as a store of value, a medium of exchange, and a unit of account. Put simply, our currency powers our economic engine. It enables people to exchange goods and services with each other more efficiently. But money also has a deeper social purpose, because currency is something we use and we touch every day. And when done right, it can tell us who we are, what we value, and what is possible. Some of the first banknotes issued by the Continental Congress included unifying messages like, "We are one." Coins in the 20th century featured national heroes like Susan B. Anthony. She was the first woman to appear on a circulating US coin. This year, the Mint has rolled out coinage with the faces of 5 remarkable American women, and that includes trailblazers like Maya Angelou, poet and civil rights activist, and Anna May Wong, who was Hollywood's first Chinese-American film star. But these coins are just the beginning of our work to ensure our currency and coinage reflect the full fabric of our nation. With your hard work, we will be introducing new currency designs in the coming years, including placing Harriet Tubman's portrait on the $20 bill. It's customary that Treasury Secretaries provide their signature to be featured on our nation's currency. And you would think that this would be a straightforward process. But the Founding Fathers did not account for what seems to be a common attribute for Treasury Secretaries, namely terrible handwriting. My friend Tim Geithner famously had to change his signature in order to make it legible. In an interview back in 2012, he described that the change was made not for elegance, but simply for clarity. And President Obama joked during Jack Lew's nomination as secretary that he should try to make at least one letter eligible in his signature. The good news is that President Biden did not make a similar request when he nominated me. But I will admit, I spent some quality time practicing my signature before submitting it to Director Oliar. In all seriousness, I am truly honored that, thanks to the hard work of this team, the first banknotes with my signature are being delivered this month to the Federal Reserve, and they'll be in circulation starting in the new year. Some will note that this is the first time the signature of a woman Treasury Secretary will be on a U.S. banknote, and the first time the signatures of 2 women will be on our currency. But really, this is not about me or Treasurer Malerba. To me, these notes represent the hard, ongoing work of the Treasury Department to strengthen the economy, advance our economic standing around the world, and also a reminder of the contributions of women who have worked at Treasury and in the economics profession. So let me say a bit about both. When our administration first entered office, the economy was in the depths of the COVID pandemic. The coronavirus was claiming more American lives a week than it had at any other point since the start of the pandemic. Millions of jobs had been lost, and there was tremendous uncertainty about the fate of our economy. In 2020 and 2021, we were facing the tail risk of an economic downturn that could match the Great Depression. Yet, over the past 2 years, our country has seen an historic economic recovery, and Treasury has been at the forefront of these efforts. Through the American Rescue Plan, we provided aid to households, businesses, and state and local governments to help them get through a once-in-a-century pandemic. This assistance saved American lives, and it kept American families in their homes, and it provided critical financial relief to those who were suffering. Now, at the same time, we've also made long-term investments in our economic strength. The passage of the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act this year will enable the growth of two important industries of the future: semiconductors and clean energy. Nearly 3/4, or $270 billion, of the Inflation Reduction Act's climate investments are delivered through tax incentives, and that puts Treasury at the forefront of implementing the biggest climate action in our nation's history. The law will also position us to capitalize on a wave of economic opportunities for the American people, including in communities that are often overlooked. As we make these targeted investments, we're also improving our revenue collection system. We have secured much-needed long-term funding for the Internal Revenue Service. The surge of new resources will modernize the IRS and dramatically improve taxpayer service. And it will enable the agency to make sure that all Americans are playing by the same tax rules. As we've rescued and invested in our economy, we've also strengthened the financial system. In the face of increased market volatility, our financial system is resilient, and it continues to operate well through uncertainties. Since the beginning of the administration, Treasury has worked with financial regulators to improve the resiliency of the Treasury market. This is a market that plays a critical role in supporting the global financial system and financing the federal government. And we've also worked to reduce risks in financial firms and activities that operate outside of, but are connected to, the traditionally regulated banking system. And we're addressing potential emerging risks to the financial system from climate change and digital assets. And we will continue this work through 2023 and beyond. Beyond addressing our considerable domestic challenges, we've also advanced the economic interests of Americans around the world. Some of our biggest economic challenges are global. Today, the world economy faces serious headwinds, in large part due to Putin's barbaric war in Ukraine. When Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year, the United States joined partners and allies to implement an historic sanctions regime to hold Russia accountable. Together with over 30 countries, we have denied revenue and resources to Russia that it needs to fight its war. We've also degraded Russia's military-industrial complex and its ability to wage war in the long term. And our efforts are working. We have curtailed Russia's access to semiconductors and to other key inputs. And in fact, reports indicate that Russia is now forced to turn to outdated Soviet-era equipment and arms and technology from North Korea and Iran. And now, with our price cap on Russian oil in place, we're targeting Russia's key source of revenue while aiming to mitigate volatility in global energy markets. And in the meantime, the United States is supporting Ukrainians with $13 billion in direct economic assistance in addition to military aid. And we've requested that Congress provide an additional $14.5 billion in support for the first 9 months of 2023. Our support of Ukraine is a moral and a national security imperative. And we're continuing to help mitigate the impacts of Russia's war on countries in need. Energy and food security is critical for countries around the world, in addition to our continued urgent work on poverty alleviation, pandemic response, and climate mitigation and adaptation. Well, as I look back on the past year, I'm reminded of the talent and the dedication of our Treasury colleagues. Our work is only possible because we're tapping into the potential of people with a broad range of backgrounds and experiences. And the truth is, this wasn't always the case for women in the economics profession. I was the only woman out of a PhD program of a couple dozen students. And when I was at the start of my academic career, women made up only 6% of faculty in economics departments that were surveyed by the American Economic Association. Now, that was back in the 1970s. And women who came before me, and even more so for those in less forgiving professions, they experienced much worse. In fact, Treasury led the first major effort to employ women into the federal government. While Treasury hired a few women prior to the 19th century, there was no dedicated effort to do so until the Civil War. Well, men were in short supply, and frankly, women were cheaper to hire. So, starting in 1862, Treasury began hiring hundreds of women. The first woman to be hired in that cohort was Jenny Douglas. The first black woman was Sophia Holmes, and many of these women were responsible for inspecting banknotes for counterfeits and cutting up sheets of Treasury notes. In other words, these women were your predecessors at B.E. Pig. Many decades later, President Franklin Roosevelt nominated Josephine Roach as the first woman to be Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. Women joined the Treasury workforce in much larger numbers in the 20th century, thanks to the persistent work of activists and women like Jenny, Sophia, and Josephine. They also did so in other industries and professions. And in fact, the growing participation of women in our labor force was one of the greatest drivers of America's economic growth in the 20th century. Today, women represent around 62% of the Treasury workforce, and women are in positions of power across our department, from public affairs to domestic finance to the Chief of Staff's office. We've made progress in providing greater economic opportunity for women at Treasury and in the economics profession. But we still know that much more needs to be done, and I hope that today is a reminder of the road we have traveled on equity and inclusion, and I hope it motivates us to continue to move forward. So I'm very proud of the work that Treasury is doing. And really, today is not about me or Lynn, new signatures on our currency. It's about our collective work to create a stronger and more inclusive economy. At the end of the day, the field of economics is not about numbers or theory. It is about improving the lives of ordinary people. And this is what the Treasury Department has been focused on in 2022, and it is what will continue to be our North Star over the coming months and years. So let me again say thank you. I'm truly grateful for your dedication and hard work. Thank you so much.
What you love, what you hate, what you love.